Hi guys, welcome back to Future Dimensions 360. As you know, in our last tutorial, we had learned about useStateHook in React.js. In today's tutorial, we will be focusing with useMemoHook. Why we need useMemoHook in React 3GS project or 3D projects, and what are the importance and benefits of useMemoHook in React.js. We will be discussing all that in details in today's tutorial. Let's move forward and try to learn everything in step by step. First of all, this is my example that we had left in our last tutorial. The cubes are there. I'm hovering, I'm getting the meshes and everything in the log. I'll click it will be moving, and on hover it's changing the scale and color. The browser is changing the scale and color of the cube as well. Okay, so in today's tutorial, what we have to do here is simply we don't need the hover effect on that. We'll remove that one, and we don't need anything except pointer down. We don't need to increase and decrease the scale as well. For the color also, I will be passing it line manually, okay, as per the documentation that we are following in our tutorial as well. If I'll go back to the documentation, you guys can see in my documentation, this is the way you can see this and read this as well, but we will be implementing those things by practical ways. So secondly, the good way to use this if statement is not right. If here like that, simply what I have to do here is I have to remove this one as well, and I have to multiply this delta with what? With rotate. Rotate will be true and false. If it's true, it will multiply with 1, and the delta, whatever the value is, will multiply with value of 1, and the cube will start moving. If it's 0, the cube will stop, because 0 multiplied with everything will become 0. So let's go back to our browser and see Ctrl+Shift+R. This is our current situation. The cubes are moving on click event, and there is no changing in the scale and color. Now this is step 1. Second step, to understand the useMemoHook. React 3JS or React.js, what they are doing, whatever you are passing in your JSX, let's say in the mesh I'm passing the box geometry and mesh basic material. React is mature enough that you can identify that if there is any change happen in the box geometry or no, if you are passing this all objects as a JSX. But in case you want to pass this object as a what? As a props, and you have to manually update the values in the terms of JavaScript, how you can do that and what are the changings or impacts of React on that, we will be learning those in that. So step 2 is that first of all, we need to know that how many times React is spawning or React is printing this box in the browser. Like if we have made change in the browser, either React is re-rendering the mesh as well or no. For that one, we will be using useEffectHook. In the useEffectHook, what we will do simply is we will print out console.log. We will be logging what? We will be logging simply, I'll copy from the documentation. We will be logging what? Our UUID of our each object. Okay, this one. So UUID of our each project. Let's go back to our browser. Let's do reload, and you guys can see simply in when the first render useEffectHook run, and I got the UUID for box A and box B. As soon as I will click on box B, I will get the UUID again for the box B. I will click 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 times. I am getting the same UUID of this box. If I will click on the second box again and again, I'll get the same ID of second box 10 times or 20 times or whatever times I had clicked. So React is mature enough to identify that this box geometry and mesh basic material is changed or no. Why I removed the color and all those stuff? Because I want you to understand that how React works and what time or what is the scenarios where React is re-rendering the mesh again and again. So let's say I will do import static from 3. Okay, I will import everything from say 3JS. Let me go back to the documentation. I will move forward to the next step as 3 also. All right, it will be more better as 3, and yeah, 3 will be capital. That's more better. So here I have to simply, what I have to do is I have to create one geometry. So I'll copy it here to save time. React const geometry new 3 dot box geometry. I'm creating one box geometry from where? From 3js. 3js have this class that will create a box geometry. And this box geometry is coming from where? This box geometry is coming from, if I'll go back to my app.js, I can see this position and this all things that I am passing to my box that is going as a props to my mesh. Okay, I am passing this as a props to the mesh. So each box have their own position. This is actually applicable on your geometry, and this mesh is actually applicable, or this have ability to take geometry as a props as well. Okay, I'll show you from React 3js documentation. If I'll go to React 3js documentation, in the mesh object, see there is geometry. We can take it as a props as well to mesh component. So I will go back to my code. I can pass this geometry as a props, and I'll remove this geometry as JSX. So this time React is not mature enough to identify either the mesh geometry is changed or no. So for that one, what React will do is, anytime this box is re-rendering, this will create the new geometry from 3js library, and it will be passed here always to your mesh a new object. So once mesh will get always the new object, it will be re-rendered again and again. So every re-render will give new UUID to your box. Let's go back and verify it. Control Shift R. We are getting some errors. And what are those errors? Okay, it's showing 3 is capital. Very sorry. So if I'll reload, and you guys can see 2 UUIDs are printed out here. I will click, another UUID is printed. Again click. Every click on this box gives me a new UUID. Similar to that on other box as well. I'm getting always new UUID. So this kind of reprinting, actually there is no change in this box, but React consider it as a new object of geometry. That's why React is printing this UUID always new. React is re-rendering this object. So we need to let React know that this box is not changed. You have, for that one, you need to use useMemo. It's in large scale application, it will impact a lot. Let's say if you have a 30 or 40 MB of model, GLB model, you are spawning in your mesh, or you are spawning in your scene. In that scenarios, it will impact a lot in your browser in case of useless re-rendering. Okay, so for that one, we will be using useMemo hook. How you can use useMemo hook? Let's go back in the step 3. We are in step 3 now. Let me comment out this one, and let me say const geometry equals to, I'll do const geometry equals to useMemo hook. Sorry, useMemo hook. useMemo hook is nothing but just a function that will take a callback as a first parameter that will return new 3 dot box geometry. Okay, I will copy this box geometry. It will be easier to write here. And second parameter is a dependency array. Let me make it in multiple lines. It will be more easier for us to understand. Sorry. So the callback is in one line and the dependency is in second line. This dependency will take an input that you want as a watchdog to React to watch. Let's say I want to React to rerun this this callback always when rotate variable changes. So it's not required right now, but you can do that as well. It's just an example. So we are just learning normally these things. So now whenever React will create one time, it will get a reference. React, what it will do is, useMemo hook in React, what it will do, it will keep the reference of old objects geometry and compare it with the new created. If both are same, it will not re-render this again. That's it. Save, go back to our browser, and one time both UUID is printed. Once I am clicking again and again, you guys can see this UUID for the first time it's printed, and 10 times second UUID is printed. That is always same. So that's mean now my box is not re-rendering again. By what? By the help of useMemo hook. Let's go back to our documentation. We'll move forward. What we can do here is, we had understand this useMemo hook. Now what we can do here is, we can keep an example of counter instead of rotate. Okay, so what we will do here is, we will just simply copy this state variable of counter. I will remove this rotate from here. So simply I will copy counter, and one I need here is UUID is printing here again, And in terms of useMemo hook, I will be returning an array of objects. First parameter or first index is containing the box geometry, and the second index will contain the sphere geometry. The value inside the box and sphere geometry is nothing but just like value that you can change anytime. You can keep 0.7, 0.8. It's according to my screen. I had adjusted, like there is adjustments in that. So it's up to you. You need to verify and use on with those things. And regarding use frame hook, but plus multiply with delta, you can simply remove rotate from here. So it will automatically rotate. No need for anything here. Okay, so I'll remove this rotate. Rotate is already removed, and console log UUID is going on. Here on pointer down, what we have to do is we have to simply set what? Set counter. Let's copy that one as well. It will be easier to go on by modulus of 2. So modulus of 2 means you will keep the counter between 0 and 1 value. As soon as the value is 0, it will make plus 1 divided by 2. It will be 1 as a return. So if it's 1, it will be plus 1. The value of counter will become 2. Modulus of 2, return back 0. This is the best operator to go on with 0 and 1 bits. Okay, let's hit save and go back to our browser. It's saying cannot raise the properties and undefined box line number 19. Let me read out and we will understand one time more. Error, cannot read the properties of undefined reading center. Center. Where is the center? Let me go back a little bit and we can see from here what we are missing. Very sorry. Geometry, we need to pass count as well. In the geometry, very sorry, forgot to point out this counter. Why? Because this geometry is returning what? Is returning an array of object. So once the counter value, because we are switching between 0 and 1 of the counter value, once it's 0, it will pass box geometry. Once it's 1, it will pass sphere geometry. So let's go back to our browser. You guys can see I will reload. There is no error and I have two boxes and both of them are rotating automatically because set rotate I had removed. Once I click, the geometry is changed to sphere. If I will click here, the second geometry is changed to sphere as well. Anytime, like let's say if I will do reload, you can verify here the IDs. First box A ID is 425. This is box. And second box ID is DCC67. Once I click on the second box, 46C is the second sphere ID. Once I click here, DCC is the same ID that is here. This one and this one is the same ID. So React is keeping the reference of the box, rendered box material, and it will not be changed because it's already saved in the memo hook. So if I will go back to sphere again, you guys can see 46C, this ID and this ID is exactly same. So the sphere always coming to box B or to smash B is always the same one. It's not changing always. Like it's not changing. The React is not re-rendering that sphere always. It's switching between the geometries already and both of them are already saved in the useMemo hook and the reference is there with useMemo. If you can move down here, you can get this this working example in your sandbox as well. I'll give you the link of this sandbox as well in the description and it's available in GitHub as well. So in case of any question, any query, again, you can comment us. You can reach us to our mailbox as well. Please don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.